Hey, 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 hey. Howdy, toneful people. How are ya? Great to see you. I'm going to take a peek and see who's here in the chat room. I think I saw Scott Jackson appear like magic. All the way from the West Coast, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Scott Jackson. All right. Great to see you, Scott. Mike Panich, Candy, Kay is here. We have some more people that may be lurking, but great to see you guys. All right. I hope you're having a great Tuesday. Weird. I thought it was Monday all day long. I think Scott Jackson did too. These holidays always throw me off. Can't get it together. But it is Tuesday because it's Toneful Tuesdays, so I should know that. Anyway, had a kind of a cool week this week so far. My song Winter Park has been getting traction, and it's pretty cool. So after 2 weeks, I think it's doing pretty, in the words of Larry David, pretty well. Okay? So I'm going to tell you about it right now. Hey, gang, I just wanted to share a little bit of encouraging news with you and say thank you. My new single, Winter Park, is showing up on the Groove Jazz Most Added chart this week, and I'm really grateful for that. As many of you know, I'm still pretty new to this side of radio promotion, so I'm learning as I go, but it's very encouraging to see the song getting this kind of support so early on. To be listed there alongside so many respected artists is truly an honor, and I don't take it lightly. It's especially encouraging to see that this was a strong follow-up week, with new stations coming on board and more activity for the song. I want to give a sincere thank you to Adam Leibowitz of ASL Music Media for all of his hard work and guidance, and also to Robert McLean of the Sundial Agency for his support and help as well. I'm very thankful for both of them. And of course, I want to thank all the stations, DJs, programmers, and everyone giving Winter Park a chance. This means so much to me. Most of all, thank you to all of you for listening, streaming, sharing, encouraging me, and supporting the music. I'm so grateful, and I just wanted to share this good news with you. So that's what went on this week, and I'm really happy. So for me, it means a lot. When I wrote that stuff, it was written at a time when I wasn't sure if I'd be able to do anything musically. So for this stuff to happen for me is incredible. And I can't thank all of you enough because I've had many of you encourage me along the way, and you stuck with me. I mean, I'm not out playing shows, and you guys hung. And I appreciate it more than I can tell you, because not everybody does. Not everybody is along for the journey, you know. So thank you for being here. And let me say hi to a few more people. I did see Scott Lusk and the Careys are here. Greg and Kim. Johnny's here from Burgettstown, Pennsylvania. Johnny Buffett and the Cool Gang from that area. Johnny Buffett. That's what we call him, because he's like the biggest Jimmy Buffett fan. He's huge. Huge fan. And I'm good with that because I love Jimmy Buffett. May he rest in peace. We lost a great saxophone player this week, Sonny Rollins. Wow. How incredible he was. But he was here for 95 years, so a nice long life, and left a legacy of wonderful, wonderful music. So before we go any further, I just want to make sure I don't miss anybody. If I do miss you, again, I never try to. I just miss you accidentally. And I'm really thankful you're here. And those of you who aren't saying hello and you're just kind of watching and hanging out, hello to you too. Hello to you. I appreciate you being here. And my guest tonight is just awesome. Reggie Jackson. He's a great guy. He's a great musician. I'm going to tell you about next week's guest, though, too, because he's another great one, and we've been friends a long time. I'll have to tell you how we met. next week. Coming up on Toneful Tuesdays, I'm your host, Tony Janflone Jr., and on Tuesday, June 2nd at 7 p.m., I'm honored to welcome guitarist, composer, producer, educator, author, and mastering engineer, Jamie Glaser. Jamie's incredible career includes work with Jean-Luc Ponty, Chick Corea, Lenny White, The Manhattan Transfer, Bryan Adams, John Anderson, and many more. You've also heard his guitar work on shows like Seinfeld, Saved by the Bell, and Married with Children. We'll talk about his amazing musical journey, life on the road, studio work, creativity, teaching, and the healing power of music. That's Tuesday, June 2nd at 7 p.m. on my YouTube channel. Real quick before we keep going, if you've been enjoying Toneful Tuesdays, I'd really appreciate it if you'd take a second and subscribe to the channel. It's a small thing, but it really does make a difference. It helps the channel grow, it helps more people discover what we're doing here, and helps me bringing you great guests, meaningful conversation, music, and encouragement week after week. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much. And if you're not, I'd surely be grateful for your support. All right, let's get back to it. So before we get into Reggie's interview, again, thank you so much for coming by. If you guys get a chance, keep streaming Winter Park. I have some other stuff up there too on my Spotify channel and other streaming services. Also, you can purchase that stuff through my website and the store, and we'll leave some links in the chat for those. I want to say a special shout out to Scott Lusk and Greg Carey. So Greg Carey and I played in our first band together ever. He played bass and I played guitar. So he's here tonight, and I love the guy. We've known each other since we were young children. Same thing with Scott Lusk. Scott played trumpet throughout my school days and was in the stage band. He's a great person and has inspired a lot of kids along the way because he was a school teacher, taught music. So great to see you guys here. All right. So let's get to Reggie because, man, you don't get much cooler than Reggie Jackson. I'm telling you. And I'm not talking about the ball player. I'm talking about the great drummer. Reggie Jackson, and I'm very thankful to call him my friend, okay?
back somebody.
Before we bring Reggie Jackson on, I just want to take a moment to say how excited I am for this conversation. Reggie is an incredible drummer, musical director, and Columbus, Ohio native whose career has crossed so many styles: jazz, gospel, hip-hop music, classical music, and more. He spent 20 years as the drummer for the great Diane Schuur, toured with the legendary Dr. John, and has performed with an amazing list of artists including Benny Golson, Arturo Sandoval, Terence Blanchard, Kirk Whalum, Nicholas Payton, Chuck Loeb, Nelson Rangel, and many others.
We'd like to feature Reggie Jackson in this great Duke Ellington tune. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do-wop, 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 do-wop. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do-wop, 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 do-wop. Makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Just give that rhythm everything you got. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do-wop, 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 do-wop. up, do up, do up. Do up, 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 do up. Do up, do up, do up, do up, do up, do up, do up. Reggie Jackson on drums, Scott Steed on bass, Rod Fleeman on guitar. Yeah.
He has performed in over 25 countries, appeared on The Tonight Show, and today continues to inspire through his work as artistic and musical director for the Harmony Project.
Eddie Daniels.
So I'm really looking forward to talking with him about music, life, rhythm, versatility, and what it takes to build a career with that kind of depth and heart. Please, my friends, welcome my guest on Toneful Tuesdays, Reggie Jackson. All right, my friends out there, I am so glad to welcome the most talented Reggie Jackson to Toneful Tuesdays. Hello, Reggie.
Hey, Tony, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great because you're here.
Oh, you're too kind, too kind.
No, not at all, man. You're one of my favorite drummers on planet Earth. Plus, you're a wonderful, wonderful person. So I'm blessed to have you.
Right back at you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Reggie. Well, we're going to get right to the questioning here. I won't put too much pressure on you.
So you grew up in Columbus, Ohio, which is a great town, I might add, and went on to build a career that has taken you around the world. What was the musical environment like for you growing up, and when did you first realize that drums were your calling?
Well, that's a great question. For me, my music environment, we'll say, started in church. I grew up playing in church. And honestly, I like to say, I don't know that I feel like the drums picked me. I didn't pick the drums. Only because I remember my mom telling me she would, in church, would have to sit near the drums because that would be the thing that would keep me quiet during church service. And for as long as I can, I remember being in church and literally that's what I would just keep my eyes on. And so it started there. My grandmother had a gospel group that my entire family was a part of. So yeah, I probably started playing like in church around 7. I wasn't very good though. I have a cousin who's an amazing singer who was actually a better drummer than me. But I started then, and then it was probably in high school when things changed a bit, where I had an incredible teacher who gave me a tape. Because in high school, I used to go during lunch, I would go down the band room and practice. And he was like, "Hey, I want you to check this out. And if you like it, I'd like you to come and join the stage band." And it was a tape of just recordings of songs from a local station we had at the time, which was WBBY. I loved it to death. It was an incredible jazz station in that they would play like something from Kinda Blue from Miles Davis. And then they would jump and play Duke Ellington. Then they would jump and play a Pat Metheny tune. Then they would jump and play the Yellow Jackets. It was just, I absolutely fell in love because it was just all this music I had never heard before. So he introduced me to jazz that way. And then fast forward a bit, there was a substitute teacher in the music room, jazz saxophonist by the name of Gene Walker. Did you ever play with Gene?
Gene, I played with him several times, and he's the reason I know you, because
Really?
Gene Walker and Spider Rondinelli was a drummer from Pittsburgh.
Yes.
They hooked Dave Powers and I up. That's how it all started. So I know you because of Gene Walker.
Oh, wow. Okay. Small world, man.
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Loved him, by the way. Loved him.
Yeah. Same. And Gene, he was substitute teaching in my high school. And like I said, I would go and practice during lunch. And then I was practicing, and he was like, "Hey, do you mind if I play with you?" And I was like, "Oh, great." So we played for a bit, and he was like, "Hey, I have this jam session on Saturday mornings called Jazz and Eggs. Why don't you come out?" So I came out to his jazz jam session, and that kind of introduced me to the Columbus jazz scene, which I had no idea even existed. And then from there, I learned about Bobby Floyd's jam session, and that was Saturdays from like 4 to 8. So my Saturdays every week was Gene's Jazz and Eggs from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then Bobby Floyd's jam session from 4 to 8. And I did that every Saturday, like my senior year in high school. And then I've also learned about 2 other jazz jam sessions in Columbus. One was led by a great jazz drummer by the name of Aaron Scott here. That was Tuesday nights from 8 to 11. And that was a jazz trio. Aaron Scott, Dave DeWitt played bass, and Joe Hunter played piano. And that was it was like a New York jazz trio. It was in a restaurant. You had to play really quiet, but they just had this intensity that was just insane. And they let me sit in, but I learned, kind of had to play with that intensity, but very quiet. And then I would do that. That was Tuesdays from 8 to 11. But then there was another jazz jam session on Tuesdays from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And that was led by, his brother's name is Phil Maneri. But it wasn't
Jim, was it?
Jim Maneri. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jim Maneri had a jazz fusion jam session. And it was him and Andy Woodson and Matt Wagner, amazing drummer. But that was on Tuesdays as well. So like Saturdays, I had hit these 2 jam sessions. Again, Aaron's jam session was straight ahead jazz thing. And then I go to Jim's jam session, which was this fusion thing where they were just throwing down. And so it was a cool thing to go from having to play really quiet, but still intense, to this fusion thing where you could rip it up, but with intensity as well. So yeah, back for me, those were the musical environment I came up in here in Columbus, where, man, there was just so much to do, to go and play and sit in, but also learn at the same time. So that was just invaluable time for me.
That's wonderful. I know the Columbus scene well, so lots of great players, and many of the people that you mentioned I know or have played with. And what a fertile ground for you to be in as a youngster. Man, that's just great. And I do want to mention that Bobby Floyd is a super bad dude.
Yes.
He's going to be on the show coming up. He's
great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, Bobby, man.
I have so much love and respect for him. I mean, aside from, again, going and sitting in with him, oh gosh, that started when I was probably 17 years old. And then, I've been playing with him now for 26 years. And he's such an amazing, absolutely amazing musician, but he's also an amazing human being. I mean, I've toured with him and worked with him with different artists over the years, and I've seen him in some pretty heated situations, and I've never seen anybody on planet Earth as gracious and kind as he is and has been under some really, really stressful situations. I just love that guy. And I have to say, because he won't say it, he was nominated for a Grammy a while back, and I think he was nominated again and actually won a Grammy. He won't say this, but he actually won the Grammy. I think it was for his playing on a Basie record that was just released a few years ago. I think it was. But yeah, he's amazing. And he's just like Gene and Hank Marr, just one of the staples here in Columbus, but is also known all over the world.
Yeah, he's a musical treasure. He really is. And I got to work with him. I did the CJO Christmas concert series one year.
Oh, cool.
So I did get to work with him there, and just listening to him play every night was real ear candy,
Yes, exactly. And he's, as I'm sure you saw, like, he's so consistent. It's just unbelievable. It's really just amazing. Yeah, he's one of my heroes, and I'm trying to get to his level for sure.
Reggie, Bobby wouldn't have you playing with him like he does on a regular basis if he didn't love the heck out of your playing and respect you as a person and as a player. So you're there, man.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
There's a really great video. I showed it when I had Dave Powers, and it was you guys playing My Sweet Lord at the CJO. It must have been during the pandemic because you had masks, people had masks on.
Oh, yeah.
And you and Bobby did this thing at the end of the tune that was just wonderful. It was just great interaction and, of course, improvised stuff. And it was just wonderful.
Oh, thank you. I love playing with him, and I feel really honored. But it's so funny. I always laugh. Heck, we just played a gig last night, and his trio, Bobby and Derek and myself, we've been playing together for 26 years, and it's so funny because stuff we've played together so long, it's almost like ESP, where it's almost like we just know each other so well that things happen, and it's just so much fun. Anytime I get to play with those guys, it's always a blast.
That's wonderful. I know Derek too, and he's a really talented multi-instrumentalist. In fact, Derek's a really good steel drum player, isn't he?
Yes. And he played with Monty Alexander, and several other people.
I think he's on a Jim Hall record I have.
Oh, wow. That wouldn't surprise me.
I think he is. I had a fun trip with Derek. We played in Hong Kong together.
Oh, wow.
And I'll tell you off camera. He was funny. That's where we couldn't leave the venue. And we had rehearsals. So we were there all day long, and they kept bringing us boxed lunches.
Oh, wow.
And they would tell us it was chicken, but the chicken wasn't like any chicken you've ever had.
Right.
So we called it chicken dog rat. That's what we called it. Yeah. Derek's great. So tell him I said hello when you see him next.
Will do.
Yeah. So, Reggie, you studied jazz studies at the Ohio State University. How did that formal training shape you as a musician? And what did real-world experience teach you that school does not? Or could not, I should say.
Well, I grew up, like I said, I grew up playing in church. So going into music school, I was really kind of behind the eight ball, so to speak, when it came to like reading music. I grew up playing by ear. So I had to do a lot of work to get into the School of Music. But it was very, very helpful. Just learning all that I did, not only with lessons, but also theory. At the time, for my degree, the curriculum was set up. You had to do 2 years of classical percussion as well as 2 years of jazz percussion. So that was very helpful in a lot of what I'm doing now with playing with symphonies, whether it's, symphonies with Byron Stripling or when I was doing symphonies with Diane Schuur. And it's also, as musical director for the Harmony Project, we have an orchestra. So just having that experience and having that education is incredibly helpful, as well as the arranging I had to learn to do. The School of Music was very helpful for me in a multitude of things post graduation. As far as, things you don't learn in the School of Music, this is going back to those jam sessions I talked about earlier. I mean, school is great, but even, I always try to tell, even when I was teaching, I taught a few years at a university, I would always tell my students this very thing, like go out to jam sessions and try and immerse yourself in a music community. But more importantly, you want to play with, other musicians, but play in a live setting. I remember being in school, and you do a recital, or you're playing on campus somewhere, and you're playing with or in front of other peers, right? And when you're young, everybody's kind of vibing on the same thing. But when you're playing out in front of, real people, that's when you learn, okay, this really cool scale or lick that I learned in school may not necessarily translate, in front of an audience in the real world like it would on campus, because again, on campus, you're playing in front of your peers. You're playing in front of, other music majors. But if you're playing a bar or a restaurant where there are people who just worked either a 12-hour shift at a factory or worked 8 hours in the office, your melodic minor lick that you want to use may not necessarily work as well as like, oh, wow, I played this, I played a solo with just the blues, and man, people were really digging that. Yeah, it's that stuff. To me, school doesn't necessarily set you up for, but it's really important to get out and play in real world application and play with other players. And I'll also say this, I really think it's important to play with older musicians. Like we talked about earlier, like with Gene and Bobby, like it's that mentorship and learning from the older guys who are a part of the lineage of this music. That's where you can really get confirmation that what you're doing is the right thing. Sometimes when we're in academia, we don't always get that because, our professors, they have a goal. They need to, they have a curriculum that they have to teach, and, these things that you need to learn, but you don't have that one-on-one oversight that happens when you're playing with older musicians that, I'm sure you've had that experience where you play, whether it's at a jam session or you get hired to play with some older guys. And then on a break, they're like, hey, you sound pretty good, but
Yeah.
You're going to want to do X, Y, and Z. They just run the list. And so, it's those things that you learn with those older guys that, you don't always get, or you rarely get at the college level or in a college setting.
Those are great words, and I will agree with you. And I think it's about learning how to communicate.
Yes.
I think that people like your older musicians, they have skill in communicating the language that is music. And as a young player, there's surely something to be said for learning by rote. So learning how to read music and all that stuff. But what you gained in your upbringing by playing in a gospel church, like a black gospel music, that kind of stuff that you got to experience, you have a feel. Like you have this tremendous feel, because I've played with you. So, that stuff, I don't think you learn that in school. That's the stuff I don't think you learn, right?
Right. Yeah. I definitely, school, I feel like, yes, you learn the reading, but that feel thing, especially in the church, it's all about the feel first, because, and I try to tell my students, that's the goal, because it's not necessarily about, being flashy and all that stuff. It's about trying to emote a feeling and emotion, because in the church service, that's what it is. Whether it's, not to get too down the spiritual religious side.
It's all
but
good here.
But there, there's a purpose in the service that music has, and that purpose, there's a purpose. I'm trying not to go down a rabbit hole.
That's
but
okay. I'll say it for you. You're there, and the music's supposed to glorify God.
Exactly. and it is not about ego at the point. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's always, and even now, I still, like, I'm searching first to make it feel as good as possible. And I talk to my students about this, on the technical side, when lessons, we talk about working with a metronome, because I have this saying, I want my students to develop a strong awareness of time, not perfect time, just a strong awareness of time, so that when you're plopped in, because to me as the drummer, my main gig is to like be the glue to just bring all this music together to make it work. So like if you're playing a rhythm guitar part and the bass player is playing something and the keyboard player is playing something, where can I place this groove to where everybody's parts just lock in and feel good? Sometimes I might have to push it a bit because, somebody's pushing and pulling, or, because we all have our own sense of time,
right, which
is fine. But again, as the drummer, that's our role. And so sometimes you have to push things. Sometimes you have to pull back. Sometimes you might work with a producer who wants you to push on the verse and pull back on the chorus, or vice versa. And so you can't do that if you're not aware of where the time is. And it's also good to learn what I like to call our tendencies, right? We all have a tendency to either push or pull. Sometimes a specific rhythm will have us push or pull. Like I talk a lot to my students. I love shuffles, right?
Me too.
And like a shuffle can, da-da, 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 like it could easily take off, or sometimes at a slower tempo, it could easily pull back. And so it's just like, okay, what is my natural tendency? And so working with a metronome, that you find real fast where you have a tendency to push or pull. But the feel that is my ultimate goal, because there's, I have a ton of great drum influences and heroes that, I'll just throw out a couple, but like, I love like Dennis Chambers, Steve Gadd, Tony Williams, Steve Jordan, even like Keith Carlock, Brian Blade, like, there's a long list, but I'll stop there. I've just always been just in love with like, trying to make the music feel as good as possible every time I can.
And you do. And that is what's important. I don't think that's the stuff you learn necessarily in school. That's why being around players that, when you're a young player, being around players that are better than you are and have more experience than you do is a great place to be.
Yes.
So I encourage my younger listeners out here to look for that. And I think it's a little harder now because I'm not sure there's as many opportunities for younger players to find that.
Right.
Because there's just not as many gigs, there's not as many jam sessions.
Right.
But you need to seek it out.
Exactly. And that's a very, very good point. You need to seek it out. I tell my students all the time, like, because there aren't as many live performances, if you live in a city that has, a concert series or a summer, music series, because usually there are free performances, almost every city has them. But if you're in a small town, like, get in a car, find some friends, or talk to your family, but go see live music whenever possible. It is so crucial. Actually, it was so funny. You saying that just reminds me, I had a rehearsal the other day. It's this hip hop thing, and the rapper, was on his way from our rehearsal to another rehearsal with a different group, and he was saying he had to pick up the keyboard player, and I was like, oh, really? And he was telling me about this kid, and he's a student at Ohio State, and he was just telling me there's a jam session here in Columbus, led by a great saxophone player by the name of Pete Mills.
Oh, yeah. I played with Pete, yeah.
Yeah, and so Pete does this. He's had this jam session for forever. Actually, I used to be the house drummer years ago, and this rapper was telling me he was going to pick up this piano player, and this kid goes to Pete's. Now, Pete's jam session is in downtown Columbus. This kid lives in a suburb, probably 25, 30 minutes away in a car, like 25-minute drive in a car. This kid goes every Tuesday from his house in the suburbs, but he rides the bus.
Oh, yeah.
He takes the bus to this jam session from 8 to 11, and then he catches the bus back home. So in Columbus, because if it's 25-minute drive in a car on a bus with stops, oh my gosh, you're easily talking about probably a 45-minute to almost an hour bus ride. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was just like, dude, I got to get this kid's name, because I'm gonna pat him on the back. Like, that's what you need to do.
That's right. That's right. And just like you said about going to see and hear live music, even if you can't get to a jam session, get out there and hear people play music, because you're gonna find what you like and the things that hit you on an emotional level. So that way you can digest that sort of stuff and it becomes part of your playing. And if you don't get to hear that sort of stuff, now, of course, buying records and that is also a good answer to that as well. But there's a certain energy from a live performance that you just will not catch even on a recording. Am I correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. Like, we were talking about feel like that. To me, that's where I think the benefit, growing up in church, with live music, you're there, you're in the presence of it, so you can feel it. You feel what it sounds like when the drummer plays a certain way. If you go to a live performance, you can see it on a Instagram clip, but you don't get the same. You can't get that feeling, that like organic, just human energy that comes across live, that just doesn't translate, via a digital platform, whether it's Instagram or YouTube or whatever,
And that's another thing you don't get in school. When you're playing in front of a live audience, you learn what really connects with people and what doesn't.
Yes.
And and so as an experienced player, like, how to build things up. Or when to calm things down. By being in front of a live audience, you get a better sense of that stuff. And playing with good players and being in front of a live audience, I just don't think that's the stuff you can learn in school.
Definitely. Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny. I tell this story. I remember playing, it was either a jam session or it might have even been a gig. Where I was playing, and this club I was playing at, the audience, they were jazz listeners. Like, they came every week to listen to jazz, so they knew the music. And I'll never forget, it was on a break, or again, if it might have been a jam session. So after I played, I got off the bandstand and walked over to get a water or something, and there was this guy, not a musician, just an audience member. And he was like, hey, man, let me holler at you for a minute. And I was like, yeah, hey, what's going on? He's like, sound pretty good. You can play really fast, but you know what? I don't really care about how fast you play. I care about wanting to feel good. I just worked, a shift at this factory, and I come here to unwind and to feel good. Playing all fast, that doesn't make me feel good. Or something like that. And there was, I'm sure, some colorful language in that as well. But it was again, I'm not going to get that in school. I never got that in school. Mm-hmm. I got that, out in a club from a guy who paid a cover to come hear live music and wanted to feel something.
Yeah.
And that taught me right there, like, oh, wow. Like, yeah, I got to rethink my perspective. Like, because I'm sure, we're all young and, you want to get out there and, show what you can do. But if the mindset is, let me show you what I can do, as opposed to, thank you so much for coming and spending your time that you can't get back and spending your money to hear me play or to hear the group I'm playing with play. Like, at least for me, that's the mindset. Like,
no, it's like it's a service mindset. Yeah. Let me
exactly.
Let me serve you. Let me serve the song. Let me,
exactly.
Yes. Yeah, you gotta have that mindset. And you do, man. That's why you play so well and you feel so good to play with.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, man. Really.
And I've had conversations with other guys too about the Olympics. Instead of like an art form, it's the Olympics, and
right.
And it's like who can play faster, who can, the sort of technical things. And there's a place for that, but right. In art and real art and stuff that is emotional and feel and all that stuff. I tell my students, if they're playing, let's just say we're playing and I have a groove going, we're playing to, I say, look, I would rather you feel good and play the wrong note than play all the right notes with no feeling and not be grooving. Because to me, when I play for people, if you see people in the audience and they're grooving, I went to see Patti LaBelle's band when I was a young kid, man.
Yeah.
And they were grooving hard, and the whole audience, and I can't move my neck like you used to, but you just saw people, it was just this whole crowd, man, and everybody was in sync because the band was just grooving hard.
Yeah.
And as we know, there are different grooves too, because a swing is a different kind of groove than a funk tune that's grooving the way it does, but they are all grooves, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And they have their feel and they have their places. But I always tell my students, I'd rather you bomb on the note and still feel good, because that is going to connect with people. The feel. The feel's going to, because not everybody can hear if a note's correct or not.
Right.
But they can tell when things don't feel good. They may not even be able to put their finger on it.
Right.
But I think they know. Yeah. Because rhythm is primal. The rhythmic stuff really came first.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. It's so funny you said that, and it reminded me. I worked with this hip hop artist one time, and the producer, who was also the musical director for this artist, we were talking, and he was putting the show together, and he was just like, look, I need you to groove this so hard so that the hardest, meanest, like, dude in the club will move something, whether he's tapping his foot or nodding his head, but that's what I need. And I was like, oh, it just, it blew my mind. And this is back when I lived in LA. But when he said that, it harkened me back to the guy that talked to me at the jam session, it just all connected. Like, yeah, like that's the goal. Like you want to connect and make people feel something. If they can feel something, then they're connected to you. You can play perfect time, but that's not going to feel good. Because if it did, a drum machine could do my job if it were about it being perfect.
Right.
No, there's some really subtle things that happen when it's not perfect, whether it's, the kick drum is right on, but the snare is slightly behind, or vice versa. Or, that feel thing is so powerful. And yeah, like you said, it is very primal, because that people can feel that first. They can feel that rhythm. Actually, I could grab a pillow and grab a pair of sticks and just bang on that. But if I play it with the right feeling and start, tapping into that groove, that'll work.
You'll move people. You'll move somebody that's in the room and that's there with you. Well, I agree with you, and it's great to hear you say that, because I feel the same way. And I will say, I think we got to play one show live together, and the rest of it's been recorded. I've been on recordings with you. But every time I've heard you or played with you, it always felt great. So it's mission accomplished, Reggie.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, and you always made it easy, super easy. It's always great. At least for me, it's always, when you play with great musicians, it's just like, it's like riding a bike, for the 10,000th time. Like, it's just so easy.
Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure. Reggie, early in your professional career, you hooked up with a great player named Kim Pencil. And then you went on to work with Diane Schuur, the amazing Diane Schuur, and you did 20 years with her. What did working with both of those folks mean to you?
Oh, wow. Actually, everything. Working with Kim, that happened really early. I was still in college. I think I was maybe a sophomore at Ohio State. I can't say enough and can't thank Kim enough for the opportunity have this really young kid tour with him and record with him. But that was just life-changing in that, not only had the experiences of touring, but also recording and learning that whole process. And I know I'm going to sound really old here, but I remember, I think that it was the first record I did with Kim, and his record was the first recording where Pro Tools was used as a direct to recording platform or software. Prior to that, it was always like post recording software that people would use. They would use it, take the tape or ADAT or whatever it was at the time, dump that into Pro Tools, and then they would use Pro Tools to edit. But this was the first time it was actually being used to go hard disk recording on the spot. And that was a great lesson. 30 years later now, Pro Tools is still being used. But but I remember, I would record, like, Kim was great. He had a whole process of how he wanted to do his records. And so a lot of times we would track drums. Sometimes drums would go first, or I would track drums and bass at the same time to like a demo track that he had. And then with Pro Tools, I'll never forget the session. I would record, and then on playback, like, Kim would see the WAV file in Pro Tools, but the audio was like just a digital, like a clip. Like, the audio wasn't there. And I remember someone from DigiDesign flew out. So like I recorded like a couple of days. And then all of a sudden on playback, this was happening. So DigiDesign would fly someone out. And then we'd have to like stop recording for a few days while this engineer came out to try and figure out. And it was amazing. And I think we finished the record, and then I think he didn't use Pro Tools for a few years after that because it was just too much of a hassle at that time. But then later, he went back because they clearly made some fixes. But yeah, just that process of recording. I can say I recorded with Steve Robbie, who's a bass player with Pat Metheny. I recorded with him, but I didn't record with him. Like, I laid my drum tracks, and then of course he recorded his parts later. But yeah, no, it was just an amazing experience learning that process, and as well as just learning, being out on tour, and then how that process worked. And then of course later working with Diane, I love her to death. Diane is such an amazing musician. I was able to literally travel the world with her, and I learned a ton because with her, Diane had like 3 shows. So there was the small group show that was either a trio or quartet, where we'd maybe have Mike in on sax, or we'd have a guitar player, and then she had her orchestra show, and then she also had her big band show. So it was just like, go from a small group thing to either a big band thing or an orchestra, and that requires a completely different thing, as well as you're going in and playing with a new group of musicians, every time. So again, for me, learning, having that awareness of time and focusing on feel really was helpful. Those opportunities was really helpful to kind of hone that in, where it's like, okay, I'm playing with a big band. Okay, how is this group of musicians, how are they feeling the time? Where do I need to put it? I'm playing with an orchestra. I'm playing with this, this orchestra. How are they feeling the time? Are they just following the conductor? If they're just following the conductor, where do I need to put it so that the conductor knows where to conduct so that they're in time? Yeah, I learned a ton. The other great thing with Diane, or Deeds as we like to call her, I also learned how to, Deeds is a real old school kind of jazz artist. So, and I say that to say in that we would have a set list. The first 3 songs on the set list were good. After that, it could be literally anything. So she could call a tune out of her book. And, when I worked with Deeds, especially over the years, she probably has, 30 different records out. So her book was huge. And, after 10 years of playing with her, there were still songs in that book I had never played before. Wow. She could call something, and then you'd have to sight read it, on the spot in front of, whether it's Red Rocks in front of thousands of people, or the Blue Note in New York or Milan or wherever, like, so you had to have that. But then she could also just call a standard, or there were times where, I remember one time she called a rock tune by Cream.
That's great.
It's a jazz gig, but she called this tune, and luckily, I had just watched, I don't know, it might have been when VH1 had the behind the music, or behind the music, I think it was, and they had done something on Cream, and I had just heard that song literally like a couple of days before this happened. But yeah, but with Deeds, she just taught me, you got to be on your P's and Q's. You got to have all your skills sets, everything together, whether it's the reading and or the improv. All of that has to be like on point, with someone like that. And I'm just so grateful because of her, whether it's I'm going into something where it's very rehearsed, like some of the hip hop stuff I've done, or like even shows with Harmony Project, I'm playing to click tracks and backing tracks. Like, it is very structured. But then, like playing with Bobby, Bobby is like that, where it's total improv, where we there's not even a set list. He'll start a song, we don't know what it is, and he'll play some amazing improvised intro, and then as soon as we hear a melody, it's like, okay, now let's create on the spot. And I'm comfortable in any situation, primarily because of Diane Schuur. And so, both of those experiences were just really incredibly educational and just life-changing.
That's tremendous.
Diane's blind, so she would always have a car service take her. But she loved like 60s and 70s rock. Like it was funny. We could be, flying in, from the States to Germany or wherever, and we're in the car driving to the hotel. That's what she wanted to listen to. And so I'm sure it could have been that, and she heard that on the radio, but I also feel good that she felt confident in us to where, she just felt flexible she could do whatever she wanted, whenever she wanted.
Obviously, and she had the right drummer. I know that. Where did the name Deedles come from? I don't know this.
So, oh, wow. I think that was a nickname.
I wondered because I have an album, I think it's like the GRP Big Band or something like that, where she sings Deedles. Deedles is my name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a blues or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And so, that was a nickname because when we were on the road, now that I remember, man, it's been so long now. This is cool. She didn't like, we would call her Deedles or we would call her Deeds, because she didn't like us to call her Diane, because anytime she heard Diane, that's like, my real name is Reginald, right? But everybody calls me Reggie. But when I hear Reginald, that was typically my mom saying that, and when she said it, I was in trouble. Yeah. So with Deeds, she didn't like us to call her Diane because she just felt like she was like in trouble. And so, I think that's where that came from.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, I want to encourage people, if you don't know who Diane Schuur is, and I hope you do, but if you don't, check her out, because she's an amazing artist, blind, plays piano, and sings like crazy, okay? And she's having health issues now, but man, a real treasure for the jazz world, I believe.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you, and yes, please check her out, because she I'll tell you another little quick story. Well, I'll tell you two quick ones. One, we were playing in Buffalo, and the saxophone player at the time that was out playing with Dave Brubeck came in to our show and sat in, and we played some standard, and they started trading fours, and she sang note for note everything this dude played on the saxophone. It was absolutely incredible. I mean, her range was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, just crazy. But she could literally sing back anything he played. It was I've never seen anything like that ever. And then the second story, just in terms of just her just incredible musicianship and skill, we flew from the States to we were playing Ronnie Scott's. So we flew to London, and we're in the car, and they're picked us up from the airport. They're taking us to the hotel, and whoever the promoter had, a volunteer or something, picked us up. They were asking Diane some questions. They were a big fan, and so they asked her, so, who are some of your influences? Everybody in the band, we're in the back, and we had heard her answer this before. She was like, Billie Holiday was a big influence, Sarah Vaughan, and Dinah Washington. But what was crazy this particular time, and this is the only time I'd ever seen this, she said, Billie Holiday was a big influence on me because Billie sounded like this. She started singing and sounded exactly like Billie Holiday. And everybody, like the whole bit, we're all in the car, like just mouths drop. And then she was like, and then I heard Sarah Vaughan, and Sarah sounded like this. And she started singing and sounded like Sarah. I mean, it was so freaky. It was almost like I had never seen anything like that. I mean, I've seen, instrumentalists do that, but I've never seen a singer do that. And then, she's like, and then I heard Dinah Washington, and she sounds like this. And not only was it just amazing how she sounded exactly like these vocalists, but you could see, like, literally, I was like, oh, wow. I see how her sound, like, developed. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing, which also was helpful for me because that really kind of, like, hit me like over the head, because I took a couple lessons from Dennis Chambers, and I love Dennis, and Dennis is, that was his big thing, and he still talks about this, sounding like yourself, like coming up with your own sound. And I had heard that, but I didn't really understand, like, how do you do that? How do you develop your own sound? When I saw that, it was like an explosion. I was like, oh, wow. Like, okay, you copy your heroes or who you like as best as possible, and then you start to tweak their thing to what works for you and what you like. But again, it was just an amazing thing. I had never seen anything like that. Sorry to go.
So cool. Wow, that's really cool. And I think, she was just obviously tremendously gifted, but I also believe that in some of the musicians that are blind, that their audible senses are so keen, they depend on it. It's everything.
Yes.
So I have known a few blind musicians that are incredible that way. Now she's like just tremendous, but yeah. I think probably because she was blind. I mean, she depended on hearing totally,
Yeah.
And so she got very inside of the people that she loved, as far as hearing what they were doing. And I know that with Dennis Chambers, who's another tremendous, just unbelievable talent. It's kind of, I always tell my students, look, copy, if you're going to copy something, okay, but learn the concept as to why they chose to do that and why it works. And that way you'll be able to apply it to you. And you won't be just copying. You'll learn a concept, and that way you can take it further than being the copycat. You can say, okay, Dennis Chambers did this, and I learned this, but why did it work? And what can I do and apply it here or over here? And suddenly it becomes Reggie Jackson's.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it's also, it's also job security, right? Like, because, if you can be, not that I'm not saying you shouldn't copy somebody, but, there's only one Dennis Chambers, and everybody who wants Dennis is going to try and get Dennis, right? Like, it just like there's one Jack DeJohnette. And so, and for me, that was always, well, like I said, it clicked, what Dennis said, What I heard Diane do was just like, oh, okay, yeah. Because if I can have my own sound, hopefully people will want that sound, and I can work enough to, pay my bills.
Well, you do have your own sound. I can always tell when it's you. I can. And I think that it really is the way we're all designed to be.
Yes.
If you look at our fingerprints, we have these unique fingerprints. God made us individuals. So
Indeed.
it should be that way playing music.
Indeed.
Not that you can't have influences. I know I have tons. And we talk about this all the time. And I just had my friend on, Curtis. And Curtis, I met him just, I don't know, 30 years ago now, maybe. We worked together for 20 plus years, and he just recorded on my last CD. He's a great saxophonist. And he has a site called saxsolos.com. So he transcribes, he has 5,500 transcriptions up on the internet.
Wow.
And he's done amazing work. But we talked one day, and I'm going to do my Curtis imitation. He went, "Hey, Tom, what do you think Michael Brecker likes to eat?" And I said, "Well, Curtis, I don't think about food when I'm talking about Michael Brecker." And he goes, "No, man, what he listens to." And so I've always been that guy that does the history on the people that I love. So if I grew up listening to George Benson. I love George Benson. The first concert I ever saw. But I heard the people that influenced him growing up, because my dad was a big fan of Wes Montgomery, and I heard Grant Green and Kenny Burrell and all those guys, and they're like the tree, or the family tree, we'll call it, There was Charlie Christian, and then Wes Montgomery loved Charlie Christian. Then he took Charlie Christian, and if you listen to both of them, you can hear some similarities, but Wes Montgomery sounds like Wes Montgomery. Right. And then I heard Kenny Burrell and Grant Green, and they had similarities, and then you can hear what George Benson got from those guys. Yeah. But he's George Benson, man. He sounds like George Benson. So everybody that I've ever loved, I always look back and see what the history, what made them into the people they are. Exactly. And so you've mentioned people that you love, and I know you probably copied some things and this, but you sound like Reggie Jackson. You're unique, you sound, which is great. Not everybody gets there, but you have.
Oh, well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And, probably some of my own sound is just frustration and trying to copy somebody exact, but then it's just like, okay, especially the older I get, I'm just like, okay, I mean, I'll still hear something and I'm like, oh man, that's a cool groove, I'm gonna rip that, or, oh, that's a cool lick. But inevitably, once I learn it, it's just like, okay, now how's it going to be me? What? That's
the thing. Again, I think it's just the ingesting this stuff. Curtis, we would go to gigs and he'd say like, "Oh, I've been working on this lick and I can't get it in. I'm just not making it fit. It's not working." I said, "Don't think about it. Practice. And when you get to the gig, just don't think. Right. Play."
Yeah.
I think when you do that, you start seeing things. You played something, you go, oh, maybe like on a break or something, you go, man, I played that one thing and that's part of the thing I was working on. And it came out in a different fashion and a different form. And I just think that's how your language develops. And so you might have fragments of this stuff. So it's not the complete thing you were working on, but that's how your language builds into Reggie's language or Tony's language, or Curtis's language. Right. And I think it's cool, I think it's great. That's why it's important to learn concepts and not just copy. Exactly. And you've done it because, again, I hear you play and you sound like Reggie Jackson. You don't sound like anybody else I know. And that's something, because, drums don't have, we're going to call it musical tones, but they do because they're tuned. Yeah. So your whole sound is not only the way you play, but it's the way you tune your drums and stuff. But they're not like we're going to call them like strong pitches. So you're hearing like a C note, hey, Reggie's snare is tuned to a C, and it's not playing this strong C note, but you have a tuning that's like your whole vibe, and it's your sound. So it's your feel, it's your tuning, it's your ideas, all that stuff comes into being Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, and even like your touch, right? Like I'm sure probably with guitar, like picking.
Oh,
right?
It's totally touch sensitive.
Yeah, and it's the same thing, with drums, like and all of that, again, just creates your sound. That's, again, like we were talking about earlier with going out and seeing live music, like that's another example of why you need to do that. Because when you can see, at a live performance, because sometimes at a live performance, you might be able to, like, depending on the venue, you might be able to get a side view of things. And, I know, I remember I worked at Columbus Percussion, it's a local drum shop here, amazing drum shop. And the owner, Jim Rupp, was another amazing drummer. We used to do these things called drum days. And the companies, Zildjian and Yamaha, Sonar, all the drum companies would bring in clinicians, and we'd have like 5 guys play on the same day. And I'll never forget seeing Elvin Jones.
Wow.
And I was, my job was to tech and be on the side of kind of behind the stage, off to the side. So I saw his entire set from behind his kit. And that changed everything. Like, it changed everything for me. So I just say that to say, yeah, man, like going and seeing something live and seeing how a drummer or musician plays and approaches or holds their instrument. Whereas a drummer, how they sit, where they put their fiddle, where they put their foot on the pedal to play the bass drum, like all that actually, that can actually be the light bulb moment where it can help your own technique, right? Like, I'm sure, again, I'm not a guitar player, but I would imagine watching a guitar player, how they pick something, or if they're fingering something, or what do you guys call that? When you slide.
Fretting?
Yeah.
So you can, they'll call it fretting or sliding notes. Yeah. Slide bending.
Yeah.
Any of that stuff.
Yeah. So like seeing that in person, because sometimes you can't see that from an Instagram clip from somebody, who was at a concert, and you're watching, a band's performance from somebody's perspective in the audience. They're so far back, you may not be able to see that, on the guitar. But if you're there live, you possibly can. So,
yeah. And again, not being there live, like seeing the Instagram posts, you don't get that electricity.
Yeah.
You seeing a great player, hearing a great player, being there in the moment. Again, you're the recipient of the energy that's being produced by this musician.
Right.
And that's the beautiful thing about playing music, because it is I always call it a transference of energy. You as the musician, you put the energy out, and if you reach the audience, it comes back to you from them, and it's really beautiful. I mean, it's really a beautiful form of communication.
Indeed.
You can play anywhere in the world and not speak the language, but if you're playing music, you can communicate. And so seeing and hearing live performances, it's critical, I think. Kirk Whalum, dude, there's just something so soulful about Kirk Whalum. It just hits me hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
I just love his playing. I love his sound. I love where he puts notes.
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys, man.
Yeah. Same. I've only had a chance to play with him one time, but even that one time was just was amazing.
So, Mr. Jackson, you have played with Dr. John, the great Benny Golson, Arturo Sandoval, Terence Blanchard, one of my favorites, Kirk Whalum, Chuck Loeb, who was a great guitar player, and I actually got to play at a party, and we shared gear. It was a smooth jazz party in Florida, and Chuck was the sweetest guy and a super talent, and he is surely missed. So you got to play with Chuck Loeb and many others. Is there one performance or moment that stands out among all the others?
Oh, that's a hard one because there's so many.
Well, give me some of them.
Oh wow, well, I guess the one is I played the Hollywood Bowl when I was touring with Dr. John, and we had the show at the Hollywood Bowl, and he had just done this record, and he had some guest artists on it, but the show was it was a bunch of guest artists. So it was Anthony Hamilton, Arturo Sandoval, Terence Blanchard, the Blind Boys of Alabama, Dee Dee Bridgewater. I'm sure some more I just can't remember. But that show just jumps out to me, to get to play with all these amazing artists, along with Dr. John, who I grew up listening to, and then at the Hollywood Bowl, which I lived in LA for a minute. When I lived in LA, this is shortly after I graduated college, and to drive past there all the time, and then to be there, and then and they had that record he did. Also, we had like an octet, small big band that also played in that show. So like Bob Shepard, an amazing studio saxophonist, he played on the show. And then I bring him up because there's a band here in Columbus. It's basically like a Steely Dan tribute band. So we do all Steely Dan music. And I was in researching that. I was looking to see a live show of Steely Dan, and Keith Carlock, who's playing with him, who's another drummer who I love. But I'm like watching the show, and then they're like, they played Asia, and the saxophonist who did the sax solo on this live show I'm watching was Bob Shepard. Like it's just really cool. But I say all that to say, it was probably that show. It was just amazing show, amazing musicians, and everybody was super cool. Yeah, that's probably one of the top ones, just because every artist, I think we rehearsed for a couple of days at SIR in LA. No, it was Center Staging out in LA. And every artist that came in for rehearsal was just amazing. They were so nice, and it was just fun. It was absolutely fun.
That's amazing. And it's an iconic venue with iconic people. So I would say that's a great memory to have. One of my other guests earlier, a friend of mine I've known for years, he played the Hollywood Bowl with Kenny Loggins and Jim Messina. He did the Loggins and Messina reunion tour there. And he said he picked that as his moment too. So you guys both, man, thumbs up. That's way cool. Way cool.
Yeah. And it's an amazing venue too. Like the stage turns, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Are there any other moments out of your wonderful career that stand out?
I did the Tonight Show with her name was Truth Hurts. She was an artist on Aftermath, but that was amazing. Just because that was my first like TV performance. And I was, oh my gosh, I was super nervous. That was a lot of fun. And then another was that same group toured with we did a MTV the Smoke and Grooves tour, and on that one it was us, CeeLo, The Roots, Outkast, back when they were Outkast. Let's see, who else was on that? Lauryn Hill was on parts of that tour. And then also on that tour, I think Prince came to the show when we were in Minneapolis. Because I remember walking out from backstage. I was walking out to check out, I think the Roots were coming up next. So I came out from backstage. And as I'm coming out, I see this like 7-foot big dude. And then I see Prince and his wife at the time. And then another 7-foot dude like walk right in front of me. And I was just like, whoa, was that Prince? I just saw Prince. Great. And so I kind of followed them. And like, I'm watching the Roots, standing behind Prince, checking out the Roots. And yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's a pretty cool memory too. Yeah, I heard that Prince always had gigantic bodyguards.
Indeed.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the way to go. If you're going to have a bodyguard, you might as well get him big.
Exactly.
Yeah. Reggie, you've had the opportunity to perform in more than 25 countries throughout our world. How has that influenced the way you look at your life and look at your music?
Yeah, I guess for me, having that experience has really kind of shaped how I rethink about music, and probably even more so when I try to play it or teach it. In that, having been to like Brazil and Japan, Germany, Italy, Australia, like just understanding how music is a part of people's culture. And so if I want to play the music as authentic as I can, I need to understand what's the culture and how does music fit into that culture? Because, it's just like for me growing up playing in church, that's a culture. And I know I hold music in that culture with very high reverence. So it just opened up a light to me like, oh, wow, I need to do the same thing if I'm trying to play like Brazilian music, right? Because I've been there, I've played with Brazilian musicians and hung with them and eaten food with them. And so it's just been a thing where it's like, oh, okay, yeah. That has taught me, yeah, I want to like have respect as much as I possibly can for the culture of the music I'm trying to play.
That's wonderful. And again, you're like a really adaptable player. And I think because you have all the vast number of influences that you have, and it's been because you've listened, you've experienced, you have real life experiences that have influenced you. And when you're in touch as a musician like you are, there's no doubt it will come out in your playing. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And yeah, it's true. And that also goes back to what we were talking about, like going and seeing music live, for me, that playing in all these different countries, a lot of times they were festivals. So, in addition to just playing our set, I would like to just, a lot of times I would hang at the festival or, and try and see, because a lot of times they have local artists that play. And so again, when I'm in Brazil and I'm actually able to like hang and see like Brazilian cats play Brazilian, again, I can see it on my phone or on my laptop, but to be there and, hanging with those musicians and being a part of their culture, it just changes everything. So yeah, it's been very beneficial.
That's wonderful. Yeah, you absorb that. Yeah. You absorb I keep calling it electricity, but there's just the whole vibe, man. You're there. You are experiencing it. And I don't think there's anything close to that
Yeah.
that you can get from watching a YouTube video or a TikTok video. And man, being there, and you've had that opportunity because you're such a skillful musician, and I might add, a great guy. Because there are skillful musicians that I know that don't do as well because maybe they aren't pleasant to be around.
Yeah, right. And I always, I always kid with a friend of mine that, like, if anything, I already know there are better players out there. But, if anything, if a leg up is, hey, I'm the easy guy to hang out on the bus or in the airport with, I'll take it, because I can do that.
I get that. I do get that. But again, better is all, it's perception. It's whatever. There's no other Reggie Jackson. So the people that get to hire you and want to hire you, they hire you for you. And it's the whole you have the whole package. You are Reggie Jackson. They call you, they hire you, they take you to Brazil, they take you to Japan, so
I appreciate that.
Pretty cool, Reggie.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You got it. I just want to let people know, Reggie, that you serve as the artistic and musical director for the Harmony Project, and that's in Columbus, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yes, and I know that that's a great service that is happening for your community there.
Yes.
And so if you're in the Columbus area, make sure you look into the Harmony Project, because I've seen some videos and stuff, and it's really awesome. So I'm going to let you go because you've been with me a while now. And I just want to ask you, looking back at your journey, what advice would you give young musicians who want to build a long, meaningful career like yours?
Probably the biggest thing I would say is educate yourself on every aspect of music, whether it's, reading, theory, arranging, writing, all of the different digital platforms in terms of recording, whether it's Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, and just be willing to pivot, because this business is constantly changing, as I know, and being flexible. Whether it's, changing to, okay, I'm going to teach more now, or, oh, I need to write, or I need to arrange, or, oh, I need to play live, or I need to record, or, oh, wow, I need to learn how to write music for video games, or, whatever it is. Being flexible is really important, as well as, being flexible as an individual, whether it's, you're on tour with somebody and, oh, okay, the house sound guy at the venue you're walking into is kind of a jerk. You still be flexible because you're a representative of the management or the artist that you're working for. It's not just about you. And if you're serving the music, as long as you're trying to serve the music, it'll never be about you. It'll be about the music.
And those are wonderful and very wise words. And I'm going to say, Reggie, I love you, man. I respect the heck out of you. And I'm so glad that you were here. And man, a continued success. And by the way, I told you my next project, I want to get some drums. I want to get some drum tracks.
Yes, I'm going to work on that. Yes.
All right,
indeed.
buddy.
Hey, love you, Tony.
All right,
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll talk soon, and God bless you, man. You're great.
Oh, thanks, brother. Love you too.
All right. How about it from my friend Reggie Jackson? He's a great drummer and a great person. and I'm really thankful to know him. And I appreciate you guys listening. A lot of music talk, a lot of musician talk. So I'm hoping that you got something from that. Some of you did. And I'm going to go back to the chat here and see who's here. I did see Sage. She is here, and she's very nice. And by the way, Sage, I think I saw that you hurt your finger. Because I was in one of the live streams, and I visited, and it was with the Mr. Prism. It was a Friday, the Friday guys, Friday House. I think it's what it's called. Anyway, they had 4 guys on, and I was there for a while. And I think you had mentioned you hurt your finger, and I hope you're doing okay. So, Sage Rat is a nice, wonderful person. Hey, Maria, you were here, and thank you so much. Reggie's wonderful. I appreciate that. Maria Elliott, her family's just tremendous. I love them so much. And Scott, I hope you had a nice time. And did I not tell you that was the most amazing pan flute player I've ever seen? The guy's a machine. I can't believe that he didn't wear his lips off. The friction, he has to, Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. And thank you, Mike Panich. Let's see, Wayne is here. And Wayne, I didn't think you were going to be here, so thank you for coming by. Wayne had some family stuff to do, and he's all the way over there in the UK. Always appreciative of Wayne showing up because he travels a long way. Came a long way to be here. All right. Yeah, Scott, I told you. All those guys were amazing, right? Reggie plays his butt off. And in fact, the clarinet player, Eddie Daniels, I've been a giant fan of his forever. He's amazing. So it was great to see him there as well. He has to Vaseline his chin. Well, we'll have to find out from Reggie if that's the secret. Maria said that about the pan flute player. Do you guys remember there used to be a commercial, and it was Zamfir, master of the pan flute? Who remembers Zamfir? There used to be, on TV, they always had them on. It's kind of like the K-Tel records. They had those, you get every record ever recorded. K-Tel. Sage Rat. You're very kind, Sage Rat. All right. And Wayne, great to see you. I did see a guy here, mechanic guy or something. I think he was from Washington State. Speaking of that, I was hoping I'd see Laurie Miller out there because I think she's a big Diane Schuur fan, and she can sing her butt off. Laurie does. She's great. You have to go back to the start, Wayne? Yes. Well, I'll tell you what, since you're on here now, I gave some folks some news about Winter Park, which was really cool. It happened today, I found out. It got, you know what? If you guys don't mind, I'm just going to play the little thing about Winter Park. It's not long. It's not long at all. Hey, gang, I just wanted to share a little bit of encouraging news with you and say thank you. My new single, Winter Park, is showing up on the Groove Jazz Most Added chart this week, and I'm really grateful for that. As many of you know, I'm still pretty new to this side of radio promotion, so I'm learning as I go, but it's very encouraging to see the song getting this kind of support so early on. To be listed there alongside so many respected artists is truly an honor, and I don't take it lightly. It's especially encouraging to see that this was a strong follow-up week, with new stations coming on board and more activity for the song. I want to give a sincere thank you to Adam Leibowitz of ASL Music Media for all of his hard work and guidance, and also to Robert McLean of the Sundial Agency for his support and help as well. I'm very thankful for both of them. And of course,
I want to thank all the stations, DJs, programmers, and everyone giving Winter Park a chance. This means so much to me. Most of all, thank you to all of you for listening, streaming, sharing, encouraging me, and supporting the music. I'm so grateful, and I just wanted to share this good news with you.
So there you go, Wayne and gang. So it was a great week. I was told that for my second week going, it hasn't really been 2 weeks. It's been 11 days, actually. So I guess for that period of time, they said that it's an above average performance in that market. So hopefully it continues to go that way. It was nice because I got to see my name sandwiched among some folks that I love, including, if you heard me mention Kirk Whalum on the interview with Reggie, Kirk and this great keyboard player, Greg Manning, they were number one, and my song was number 3 in the most added. So I was thrilled to see that because I'm a big Kirk Whalum. And Greg's a great player too, Greg Manning. All the people on there, to be honest, they're all great. Will Donato and those guys. So anyway, good. It was good, and I thank you guys for checking out the tune. It's on Spotify. There's actually a full version on my Facebook. Facebook. YouTube. My YouTube site. Thank you so much, Candy. And thank you so much for doing so much in the chat, because I can't do it. I can't do it. I am like over here. I look like the great and powerful Oz behind the curtain. That's what I'm back here, pulling levers and all that stuff. Please ignore the man behind the curtain. That's me. So Candy is helping out big time. And thank you, Kay. That's nice. And thanks, Sage. Thank you. I'm enjoying doing them. And so far, these are all people that I have made music with. We have a connection. Next week's going to be fun because Jamie Glaser is a really, really great musician. And we met. I'm not going to tell you now because it was a fun story. We met years ago. But all I will tell you is this. He was playing a concert in Pittsburgh with Jean-Luc Ponty. Look him up. JeanLucPonty. So they were playing in town in Pittsburgh, and we met because some people told him, you have to go hear this guy play. And I'm not going to go any further than that. But it was very cool, and we've been friends ever since. I love this guy, and he's had an interesting and very colorful career, been through a lot of stuff, has come out the other end of the stuff he went through. And I admire people like that because I've had to overcome some things, and people like Jamie are inspirational to me. And by the way, Wayne wanted to know what was going on, what happened with my neck. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a 4.8 year update, I guess it is. My surgery actually was in 2021, in September of 2021, and it was an emergency surgery. But the story is it's very complicated, and it's a multi-stage event that brought me to where I am, which is right now. I'm a sepsis survivor, and I have 6 out of 7 of my cervical vertebrae fused. So if I look stiff, if I look like a stiff guy, it's because I am. It's like, there's Tony. He looks like his head's on a stick, because it kind of is. So thank God I'm not paralyzed, because that was a great possibility, or not even being here at all. So I have, I'm very stiff, and I have some other issues from it, but I can play, I recorded. That's why this Winter Park thing is so important to me, because I wrote the tone poem stuff when I had just started to pick my guitar back up, and I didn't play for a whole year. Couldn't play. They had to cut through a bunch of my nerves in the back of my neck, and I'll show you pictures. For the squeamish, I'll warn you before they come out. And it was a little rough, but the recovery was long, and it was hard, and it was kind of depressing and all that stuff. But I'm going to do a show on that, so that way you guys know where I'm coming from. And I'm not complaining, because I'm very grateful. I'm very, very grateful that I'm here. I'm still here, and it could have been a lot worse than it is. So anyway. Yes, sir, Wayne. You got to dwell on the good. You know, there's a scripture that is all about that, and it's one of my favorite scriptures. So you always have to appreciate what is beautiful, all that stuff, all the good. Keep your eyes on that, because there's enough bad stuff, and we're bombarded with the stuff every day. And I don't know if any of you have trouble or not with it. I actually have now had to kind of just stop watching news because it's overwhelming. And if you're a sensitive individual at all, it can really, really get to you. So keep your eyes on the good, and you can do good. You can be an influence within the small circle or large circle. If you have a large circle, you can be an influence. And if you influence others, then they can influence others within their circles, and it can spread. And that's what I believe, and I'm going to go to my grave believing that. And so always have hope, always be kind, encourage. It's tough out there, and I think that the world sometimes is lacking encouragers. So you be the encouragers. I'm trying. And none of us are perfect. And I certainly am I'm like one of the worst people from being perfect. My wife's way more perfect than I am. I'm a very flawed individual, but I try. And my goal is to be better each day. But it's a chore. I'm going back to the chat. So if you see me turn this way, my chat is not in front of me. Sage, you have 2 fusions. Well, I'm sorry about that, but fortunately, you probably still have decent mobility. When I went in for my surgery, it was an emergency, and they had to get in there. And I said to the doctor, who I will tell you this, my doctor came in, and my wife and I had just moved to South Carolina. I mean, it was my first full week there. So we didn't have doctors. We didn't have anything. I ended up at a hospital. I had no idea if they were any good. It was an emergency. Guy comes in. He looks like so young. He sees me. He walks out of the room. And I said to my wife, oh no, Doogie Howser's going to do my surgery. Now, that's an old TV show about a kid doctor. Ended up being, this guy's name was Dr. Smith, and was so good. And I'm just thankful to God that I got him as a surgeon, because he ended up being way excellent. And I think he was older than I thought. He was a very young looking guy, but very experienced, obviously. But I was worried it was his first neck surgery, because he was young looking. Oh, yeah, Sage, nerve problems. It seems to be tough to not have those happen with those surgeries. And like I said, mine's fused from C2 to T1. So I have like one left at the top, and this is as far as I can turn my head. So driving's a little trickier, especially on certain turns. But I'm thankful I have one, because if I didn't have that, I'd be like, this guy. So, and I am that guy sometimes. But my wife is famous for saying, look, look. And thankfully, I can look down easier than I can look up. Because she'll be showing me something in the sky, and I'm like, honey, I can't look up too well. So I have to stop and lay on my back. No, I don't do that, but I probably could. All right. Let me see if I missed anything. There you go. John Wesley, you are correct, and I'm going to read that to everybody, Scott. Do all the good you can by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. And those are wise words and great words. And I know that Scott Jackson is a guy that lives them. He is that guy. You bet. Sage, trust me, I'm very, very grateful and very thankful. At the first year, I wasn't sure if I'd even be able to play ever again. And so I've come a long way. And again, there are people, even if I couldn't play, which I'm grateful I can, but even if let's just say it worked out, I couldn't, I'm still in way better shape than many, many people. Did you guys ever see the guy who has no arms and he played guitar for the Pope? I mean, he played well, too. He plays with his feet. All right? There's people, amazing people all over the planet that have dealt with amazing adversities and have thrived. So, that being said, when things like that happen to you, it's understandable if you're having trouble, because I was there and I know. But I am grateful for every single day that I can wake up and walk and, move my arms, all that stuff. So I'm really blessed, because it could have been way worse than it was. Wayne, you're so accident prone and broke over 49 bones in your body. You got me beat. In fact, they call me master of disaster. I kid you not. My wife will tell you. I'm the guy that can open a door. Okay? I open a door. And this is my right hand, so I'm right-handed. I open the door, I pull it, my right foot is out too far. The foot stops the door, and I walk into the edge of the door. I kid you not, this is the kind of guy I can be. And I don't try it. It's So Wayne, I'm with you, and we will commiserate. Let me make sure I'm not again, if I miss anybody or I miss any questions, forgive me, because I would never try to do that. Spread the joy. That is correct, Sage. And I can tell that you're a person that does that, because already I know how kind you are. Let's see here. Candy. Yeah. You've been there too? I know Candy's had enough of her own things to deal with, so I applaud her, because she keeps moving forward. Oh yeah. Sage, the herniated, she's talking about herniated discs. And that's how my stuff started. I won't get into it too much, because it's a long, it actually encompasses, I guess, about 14 years. And it started with being rear-ended in an auto accident. So I will say that.
I had 3 herniated discs that were pretty badly herniated. So I understand what you're talking about. Okay. What inspires me to write music, Wayne? Well, a lot of stuff. The Tone Poem stuff was inspired by people I loved, places, beautiful stuff, beautiful nature of sky. In fact, you said you liked the song Beautiful Blue Sky, and that's exactly what it was written for. I was out for a walk and the sky was just so beautiful, and that melody that's on that song popped into my head. So that song was written about the sky. I've written songs about my wife because she's awesome. I've written songs about getting burnt by people, because I'm doing this jazz stuff, but I'm also the guy that's a blues rock, that kind of guy too. So of course I wrote blues songs that were about getting, meeting the wrong person, that kind of stuff. I actually have a couple songs I'm going to come out with that one has to do with our old house. So I'll tell you about that. That's going to be a vocal tune. That was another thing. I wasn't even sure if I'd ever be able to sing again. It's a little different because my neck is so fixed. And if I move the wrong way, my throat sort of closes up. So it takes getting used to your new body once that operation happens. Inspiration is all around. That is correct, Sage. Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate that, and I'm glad you like it. Candy. So anyway, you guys, listen. I am so blessed by you showing up and coming out. And next week's going to be fun. Jamie's an amazing musician, an amazing human. And, I got to tell you, too, he's like Dr. Doolittle. He's this giant animal lover, and he has chinchillas. And, I don't know. It's a good possibility that a bird could land on his shoulder while we're doing the interview. I'm not kidding. So I'm anxious to see what happens with Jamie. But he's a great guy. And, again, a wonderful musician, and I'm thankful I have been able to meet some wonderful people. Oh, by the way, before I go, I do want to let you know that I have upcoming guests, and I'm going to explain those to you. Excuse me. So next week is Jamie Glaser, and we talked about him. He played with Jean-Luc Ponty and Chick Corea, who was, one of the greatest musicians. Greatest musicians to ever walk the face of the earth. Then I have one of my old drummers. He's a great drummer, and he's on tour with this guy, Charles Wesley Godwin, and it's a big Americana act, and they're playing Red Rocks and all kinds of large venues. His name's Joe Pinchotti. He's a great guy. And then my friend Marvin Frock, who builds guitars, and listen to me. All these people on here that I'm having, I asked them to be on, not just because they're great musicians, but they're great people. I try to steer clear of jerks. So they're great. So that's Joe and Marvin are going to be on the same show. And then I have my friend Tom Hemby, who's an incredible musician and guitarist. Excuse me. He's played with Amy Grant and Vince Gill, among many, many others. And he currently has a CD out that has Vinnie Colaiuta, who is one of the greatest drummers to ever walk the face of the earth, and John Patitucci, who's one of the greatest bass players to walk the face of the earth. So those guys are on it. And it's Tom Hemby and a great keyboard player named Pat Coyle. Goombi Ortiz. This guy is amazing. He's funny as heck. He's been Al Di Meolo's right-hand man for years. He's a wonderful percussionist, and has energy in spades. This guy has just energy pouring out of him. So Goomby's coming on. Then we talked about Bobby Floyd with Reggie Jackson. And Bobby Floyd is just a killer keyboard player. Plays piano and amazing Hammond B3. Then my friend Don Alico Jr., he's a terrific saxophonist. And he and I have some great similarities in our lives. And we've actually performed together. And we've performed together with our fathers as well, because he is Don Alico Jr. His dad is Don Alico Sr. My father is Tony Janflone Sr., and I am Tony Janflone Jr., and we've done father and son shows together, all four of us. So can't wait to have Don on. Then Paul Thompson, amazing bass player who has a great YouTube channel called PD Bass, so make sure you check it out. Then Gary Talley from the Box Tops. Look it up. My baby, she wrote me a letter. It's called The Letter is the name of the song, The Letter. And it's a famous song. And Gary's a great guy. And look him up because he has a great YouTube channel. He has his mom, and she's in her 90s. And she comes on and sings with Gary while he's backing her up on acoustic guitar. And they sing hymns together and stuff. It's so touching and so cool. And then this last guy, he's a mystery. Okay, his name is Marino. Look him up. Okay, he's a young guy. He's a young guy that I know. And he has a YouTube channel. Look it up, Marino. Look up the song Devil in Disguise. He has 30 million views, 30 million streams of that song on YouTube alone. Okay, 30 million. 30 million. It's amazing. So Marino's coming on. Anyway, you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to play Winter Park on the way out of here. And if you haven't heard it, this is the song we've been talking about. This is what's getting played currently. It's from my Tone Poems to Chill By in a Sometimes Stressful World CD. Right there it is. It's available through my Fourth Wall site. And I also have the reissue of the Live at the Blues Cafe, remastered, so it sounds a bit different than the original. So that's happening too. But I'm going to leave you guys with Winter Park, and I appreciate you all so much. And I'm going to ask you to have a wonderful week and spread love and, you know, be that person. Be that person that picks people up. Because somebody's going to pick you up too when you're down. All right? All right. I'm grateful. Grateful for you guys. Take it easy. I'll see you next week, 7 o'clock on Tuesday with my friend Jamie Glaser.